Meanwhile, I'm a little tired. I stayed up and watched that debacle last night. I got to be honest with you. It was painful, but what was even more painful was watching any clip of it today, because it's sort of, the dynamic is sort of like this. If you are in a dumpster for long enough, hanging out, the smell, it doesn't bother you. Don't recognize it anymore. But if you step out of the dumpster and you go and you take a shower and then you come back to the dumpster, you realize, like, wow, this smells really bad. The polls, the instant polls afterwards, basically had Joe Biden winning. The best analysis I heard last night was from my 15-year-old daughter, who texted me right after the debates, and she said, this was the most embarrassing thing ever, worst thing ever. And then she asked me for 15 minutes more on her screen time app. When I spoke to her after the debate, I think she expressed a sentiment that my guess is that to the extent that there are any voters out there who are watching this, who are undecided, and there's two big qualifiers there, right? I mean, I think there are voters out there who just don't pay attention to this stuff and they haven't made up their minds. They haven't probably even thought about it that much, the election. But for people who are actively engaged enough to want to watch a debate and are undecided, I mean, that's got to be a very narrow margin. I would like to meet people like that. It's hard for me to imagine that there are people out there who are like actively engaged in this election and undecided, but I'm sure they exist. To a certain extent, I think the dynamic for those people is just like, wow, Donald Trump was just super rude. And my daughter expressed some empathy with Joe Biden. She's not a huge Joe Biden fan. She's a young person, but she did feel like he was mean to him. And when he was talking about his son, Trump was mean about it. And I actually think that that is probably as close as you can get to a sense of how someone who would be engaged in politics or engaged in the election, I should say, still being undecided. That seems to me to be as much of a cue in which to make your voting decision as anything else at that point. So we shall see. This was, I mean, the other sort of interesting thing to watch is to watch the people on Fox News and all the surrogates try and, I don't know, salvage some of this out of this. And much of the problem that they're having comes around Donald Trump's refusal, or I should say reluctance, to answer the question directly, at first anyways. Will you condemn the white supremacists, the extremists, the militias? That, incidentally, his own Department of Homeland Security says is one of the greatest threats to national security, right? I mean, this isn't just moralizing. This is like a national security issue, according to the national security apparatus. And the funny thing is to watch the Fox and Friends or other Fox hosts attempt to justify this. Listen to how Brian Kilmeade does this. It doesn't even occur to him, like, why can't Trump hit the layup?
And if you're going to say that President Trump was rude, there was only one person who called the other one a clown, a racist, the worst president ever, and told to shut up. And that was Joe Biden on Donald Trump. But Donald Trump blew the biggest layup in the history of debates by saying, not condemning white supremacists. I don't know if he didn't hear it, but he's got to clarify that right away. That's like, are you against evil? Why the president didn't just knock it out of the park, I'm not sure.
let's ruminate on that. Why, what causes someone to miss a layup like that? Sometimes you get a little bit nervous. Kilmeade suggesting maybe he didn't hear the question, but why he didn't knock it out of the park, I don't know. I wonder why it would take 4 years to sort of like assess, like, why would that be hard for him to condemn white supremacists and extremists? Why would that be hard? Maybe because he doesn't want to alienate any of his supporters. Well, but let's give Donald Trump the benefit of the doubt. Maybe he didn't hear the question. Let's tune in, shall we?
You have repeatedly criticized.
I have to answer his statement.
No, you have repeatedly.
Wait,
you have repeatedly. No, you've been talking back
made
and
a
forth.
statement.
I'm asking you.
I would love to end it.
Sir.
I would love to end it.
If you want to switch seats,
we could very quickly.
We can do that. But I'm
that part of the exchange that didn't involve Joe Biden is an example of, I think, why, to a certain extent, if there are any undecided voters, they could get turned off from Donald Trump. I mean, it's one thing to attack, the libs or the Democrat or whatever it is, but it's another to sort of, poor Chris Wallace. Why? What did he do? Go ahead.
National Guard, it would be over. There'd be no problem.
Okay.
But they don't want to accept the National Guard.
You have repeatedly criticized the vice president for not specifically calling out Antifa and other left-wing extremist groups. But are you willing tonight to condemn white supremacists and militia groups and to say that they need to stand down and not add to the violence in a number of these cities, as we saw in Kenosha and as we've seen in Portland?
Sure,
are you
I'm
prepared
willing
to
do
specifically
that,
do it? Well, go ahead, sir.
I would say almost everything I see is from the left wing, not from the right wing.
So what are you saying?
I'm willing to do anything. I want to see peace.
Then do it, sir.
Say it. Do it. Say it.
Do you want to call him? What do you want to call him? Give me a name. Give me a
white
name.
Supremacists and
who would
white
you like me to condemn?
White supremacists and right
Proud
militia.
Boys, stand back and stand by. But I'll tell you what. Somebody's got to do something about Antifa and the left, because this is not a right-wing problem. This is a left-wing.
FBI director
This is a left-wing problem.
White supremacists. Antifa's an idea, not an organization.
Oh, you got to be
not
kidding.
militia. That's what his FBI. FBI director
Gentlemen,
said.
Well, then you know what?
No, we're done, sir. We're moving on to the next. We're moving.
When a bat hits you over the head, that's not an idea.
Gosh, jeez. Much funnier version, I think, with Walter Matthau and George Burns. I think it was called The Sunshine Boys. Maybe he didn't hear the question, although it was pretty explicit. Maybe he was just trying to stand down and couldn't find it and was just stand back and stand by or whatever it was. But this is a guy who's reluctant to criticize his. Now, has he come out and clarified this yet? I would imagine he's going to. But if they were serious about it, they would have done it last night. They're just seeing how it plays today. They just don't like the fact that Proud Boys are now, let's put this up. Proud Boys are now marketing out off of this. They're so excited. This is the best thing that ever happened to the Proud Boys. Do we have their merch? We have a picture of their merch. Look at this. Yeah, they've actually integrated it with their logo now. So there's how many have we seen the correction yet? I mean, it's been 15 hours. So I think largely the big story is that Joe Biden managed to make it through the entire debate. And Donald Trump, I think, to a large extent, just made himself look bad. He couldn't help himself. I don't know if he feels like he needs to rally his own base or if he's just incapable of, even for a moment. It started out, right? Didn't you guys think that it started out like he was going to do? I was sort of suggesting, I think at one point yesterday, that he may come out and try and be presidential to try and salvage, sort of do what he did at what they tried to do for him at the RNC, sort of give license to those Republican women voters in the suburbs that, he's not such a bad guy. That seemed to go in the first minute it seemed to me like that's what he was going for. And then he couldn't maintain it.
It's like, hi, Joe. Good to see you. Oh, we're both at this debate. Like a bit of cordiality out front. Exactly. And then the second it got a little bit conflicted, then Trump lost his discipline.
Right. Exactly. It's like, you can imagine like all these campaign people looking at each other in that first minute going like, oh my God, he's doing it. And then now it's gone away. Right at the beginning, he just seemed like he was.
Here's what Trump tweeted after the debate. Sort of like a street fighter sort of.
I'm taking out two guys.
Oh, I see. So the argument is he was going against both those guys. But, the problem is that I don't think that his fans necessarily, I mean, Chris Wallace has not been, cuddling up to him like everyone else at Fox News. But I just don't think, it's not like he's working for the New York Times. It's not like Chris Wallace is a woman. It's not like he's a woman of color. It's much harder for Trump to demonize Chris Wallace. And that was the other thing that I found really disturbing about the debate. God, so white, so old. And then I'm sitting there covering it. It was like, it's for, relatively old to old white guys. That was my experience of the debate, including myself. Not that anybody, we had people watching it on YouTube, but man, if there was like a fast forward to this era, I would hit that button hard. It would be broken right now. It'd be rubbed off. You wouldn't know which button it was, except for the fact that it was the one that all the writing on the button was rubbed off.
Well, obviously, Sam, you have not seen the Adam Sandler classic Click and the consequences of fast forwarding through certain moments of your life.
I did not see that, Brendan. Maybe I should watch that.
Maybe Matthew Film Guy can give us a review for Friday or something.
Today's program is sponsored by BetterHelp Online Counseling. And boy, after that debate,